So from chasing bad guys and crashing into a tree at 100 miles an hour, selling ultra high-end goods at Louis Vuitton, all the way to trucking a photo booth up flights of stairs and building a business using Instagram, Jess and Charlie Siciliano share the goods on this episode. It was one of my favorite episodes to date. These guys work with Ryan Serhant and are doing some amazing things in Michigan, Birmingham, crushing it in those areas. So we're gonna dig into a pile of topics on how they did it, their journey, and these guys are operators. So I was so excited to share the stage with them. A couple of housekeeping things for you. You're gonna wanna join our text community. You can click the link below and get first access to these episodes. We do them live every Thursday at 2 p.m. on Facebook. Then we repost them here on YouTube, typically Saturdays around 2 p.m. or Mondays, and then on the podcasting platform. So wherever you wanna watch it, you can watch it. And if you wanna listen to the audio, you can do that as well. The only thing that we ask is this entire series is literally powered by likes, comments, and engagement. Share this out to a friend. Let us know what you want, and we'll incorporate more of that to keep the batteries full. Appreciate you guys as always, and enjoy the episode. Welcome to the Prime People Podcast, where we cover all things that got us to where we are today, our team building strategies, the marketing and sales tips that we've learned through thousands of transactions, productivity tips, ways to really just hold yourself accountable to accomplishing what you want to accomplish, and all things content creation, personal development, and not to mention we have some of the best guests on the planet.
We almost died. Well, this is a pertinent to the conversation that we're going to have. So we are live on Facebook, and I have Jess and Charlie, two good friends of mine. Met them through our co-mentor, Ryan Serhant, and his whole crew. We've become really fast friends through Clubhouse, even more so because we're having conversations around all things life, real estate, where things are going, how you guys are executing, and getting so much attention in such a very short time period. So we'll definitely dig into that. But what you were saying about going into something like a spin class and something you might not be inherently good at, or video platforms, it doesn't mean that you can't get good at it, right? Or in real estate, when you're trying to take over an area, we were actually talking before we went live about Birmingham, and we go down there. We're in north of the border, and my wife and I go to Somerset all the time. And you're dropping all these facts about the cafes, the restaurants to go to, and all of that. If I was buying in Birmingham, there's nobody else I would call other than you two. So let's go back and let's start at the beginning, because Charlie, I believe you were a police officer in a previous life, and yes. What was the inception story of this dynamic duo?
Oh, you want from like when Jess and I first started, when we first met?
I would love it, even if a little bit before that, of kind of where you guys were before you met.
Okay. So for me, I was a police officer. I graduated high school, and the day I graduated high school, I went and applied to become a Detroit police officer. Both my parents were police officers in Detroit. And so it was just the line of work that I wanted to get into. I knew it, when I became like probably a sophomore in high school, I was like, this is what I want to do. I didn't need a college degree. I can go straight from high school, straight into the police academy and start doing what I wanted to do. So the day I graduated high school, went and applied for the police department. So I was 18 years old. I got in about 6 months later. And I think I maybe had just turned 19. I was like the youngest guy in the police academy, right? Couldn't grow a beard, was 160 pounds soaking wet if I was lucky. Probably could barely do 30 push-ups to pass the agility test. And started out doing special ops work in Detroit. And I absolutely loved it. Couldn't have pictured doing anything else actually until I got in my first real on-duty injury, which was my car accident where I hit a tree at pretty much 100 miles an hour in a car chase. Shortly after that, I met Jess. So
you weren't chasing Jess though, right? Just to be clear.
What's that?
You weren't chasing Jess in the car?
No, it was a stolen car. It was like one of those fast, like Infiniti G37Xs.
Oh, wow. Okay.
The thing went a million miles an hour. I don't know what's in those things, but they're quick. But I'll let Jess pick up from there because I met her shortly after that.
Okay.
So I was always working in like luxury retail, worked at Somerset at Louis Vuitton. Maybe we would have met back in the day, who knows? Did management for retail for a while. Then I was also working as a paralegal for a real estate lawyer for years. And I really just knew that I wanted to build my own thing. I knew that I was not destined to work for somebody else, that I wanted to be a leader and a mentor, and that I could stay at that job and be comfortable forever, or I could try to figure out a way to start a business. And so I met Charlie on Instagram, which is so random, before there was ever even DMs. And so we met through the comments part of an Instagram post. I found him in a random picture in the area in Royal Oak at Woody's, which isn't even there anymore.
It's actually, we're looking at it.
We're looking at it. It's right outside our window. That's so ironic that we're here and it's right there. So saw a picture of him, followed him. He liked all of my pictures. He'll lie and tell you I liked all of his stuff first, but that's not what happened.
To be fair, she found me and liked all my pictures. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have even recognized her, because back then I was pretty much Insta famous. You know, as
That's amazing.
With super like outdated filters on all of his photos. So started chatting and I was like, you look familiar. Do you know me? Like we were kind of connecting on there and he's like, no, but I'd like to know you. And I was like, okay. So we started emailing back and forth. Had our first date at karaoke at Mr. B's in Royal Oak, and we've never actually spent a day that we didn't see each other since the day that we met.
That is incredible. And it definitely speaks to finding a person that helps you become the best version of yourself, right? Like I see that with you guys and the conversations we've had about business and growing and whatnot. I've seen even how, you know, Charlie's in the short like month that just passed, you guys are really kind of splitting up and going out and executing, but then you're doing everything together at the same time. And there's a cohesion there, that an unspoken bond. I synergize with that because of Shannon, right? My wife obviously runs the brokerage with me. She's the brains, I'm the feet. But every single day, it's so critical to have that communication together and be growing the business together. So, you guys broke into the real estate industry. And I know instantly you saw that the future of real estate isn't necessarily what it's always been. So what was your on-ramp into the industry? Give me an idea of your initial experience and where you saw a little bit of green space.
So it's kind of funny. When we got into the real estate industry, so I guess I'll give you
take a step back to the first business that we opened up. Right?
I'll give you even step back further. So Jess moved into my house in Detroit like a week after we met each other.
And then my car got stolen.
And then her car got stolen a few months later. And then we moved.
Isn't that convenient?
Right, exactly. So we moved out and we moved into an apartment in Birmingham that was literally probably twice the size of the office that we're sitting in right now.
Yeah, it was so small.
And that was our first apartment together. But the neighborhood that apartment was in was Poppleton Park in Birmingham. So we used to walk our dogs around the neighborhood, love the neighborhood. Our actual first stab at entrepreneurship was opening up a photo booth rental business, which was great and actually pretty lucrative until I needed a third shoulder surgery from the department. And I wasn't no longer able to carry the photo booth.
It weighed 100 pounds and we lived upstairs. So the booth lived in our like tiny studio apartment and we were taking it up and down the steps, sometimes like 4 times a day to all these photo booth events.
Do you wish you had that as a vlog or had that copy and video, Charlie? Like that visual is incredible.
It was bad. Like when we first got the photo booth, we didn't even have a car that it could fit in. So we were renting a U-Haul every night to take it to wherever we needed to take it to. And I mean, it made sense. Eventually we bought a Suburban that had like 115,000 miles on it. And that fit in, the photo booth fit inside of that. But we ended up selling that business because we couldn't carry it around anymore and just realized like, it wasn't that it wasn't fun. It was just a lot of work for kind of a little bit of reward. Right.
Mm-hmm.
But it's what was so important about that stepping stone for us was like we got on Groupon, we started marketing the business, we had a logo for it, like we made a real business, right? That people started calling on and inquiring, and it got really busy. And I think that's what gave us the courage to say, like, we don't need to do something for somebody else, like we can do something ourselves. So my old boss, who's a real estate attorney, owned a Keller Williams office in West Bloomfield. And we were walking our dogs. We saw all these for sale signs in Birmingham. We were looking up the prices of them. And I remember thinking, like, is this job a real thing? Like, these people make 3% or something of whatever this is. Is that a real thing? Like,
we didn't even know what a real estate agent made. And I remember I was on my phone. I was like Googling what's the average commission rate for a real estate agent. It was like 3%. And then I go, what's this house cost? And it was like 750,000. And then I did the math and I was like, that's like half my income in one sale. I was like, this is ridiculous. I was like, so she called her attorney like on the walk.
I was like, is this a thing? Like, do we get our license and can you help us? And for both of us, I think it was a way to combine, at least for me, like the sales aspect with like the passion of human connection, right, in retail, and then the real estate contract experience. And for him, just interacting with people and making a change in their lives and a difference in their lives. It was like almost just such a natural evolution for us. Like, this is what we're meant to do, and it was really cool. So we got our license. We had $1,000 left in the bank. We didn't pay our rent. Instead of paying our rent, we got our license with it. And within, I think, 3 months, we were the #1 agents in our office. And our broker at the time was like, where did you two come from? Like, how are you doing this? What are you doing? And we were literally cold calling for sale by owners in our tiny apartment every day, all day, and just asking people to take a chance on us.
Yeah, because I think I was 23 at the time. No one in my sphere was buying or selling a house. No one that I knew could have even probably qualified for a house. And we were brand new, so no one trusts us. So like I honestly got a niche for like older guys who were like old enough to be my dad, loved me and wanted to give me a shot. And back then, you know, when I think it was like late 2013 or early 2014, you could literally tack on 6% of this, you know, what they were asking and sell the home. So it didn't cost them anything extra, but took it off their plate so that we could sell it for them. And we built our business rapidly on for sale by owners.
So I always laugh when people say that there's no reason to cold call. Some of our best friends and closest clients today somehow like go back to those first initial days of calling for sale by owners because they're still clients or they've referred family and friends to us. And I don't know, to me, that's really special. It'll always be special for us.
I notice a pattern though, just listening to you guys talk as you're going through each step. You know, you found a way to make it work. You weren't intimidated by the process and you adapted, right? Whether it be the photo booth, whether it be the jobs that you had previously, I think everything prepares you for the situation that you're in today. Even your on-ramp into the real estate industry as you're kind of building, you're always wondering kind of what that next level is and that next step of growth, because I think it's baked into you, right? Of not necessarily wanting to work for somebody else and wanting to do it on your own. The real estate industry is a bit of a funny thing though, because, you know, it optically looks to a lot of people like, well, you work for that person, right? But the people here don't work for me. Somebody called me a boss yesterday of the brokerage. I'm like, oh, I'm not their boss. I'm like, we're partners. I said, they happen to be here. I don't need them. They don't need me, but we're better together. And I do think that that's a big part of our industry that the public doesn't necessarily understand. To go back to the commission part of it too, I'm sure after you run your P&L for a couple of years, you don't realize that you make a full 6% on every sale, that there's a lot of burnt out time too that goes with that. I'd love to hear about your experience in the real estate industry. What have you learned from kind of coming into it and where you guys are at now? And what would you be passing on to newer agents that you were mentoring?
Save for your taxes, because it's no joke.
Save money for taxes for sure. I think for me, because I was so used to not being in sales, right? I was never a salesperson. I was a police officer and my job was get guns and drugs off the street. So for me, it was really difficult to learn objection handlers. It wasn't difficult to learn the objection handlers, it was more so to just learn how to talk, right? So when I first started calling for sale by owners, I literally read from like the script that I printed off that I found online, and I sounded like a robot, but I can't tell you how many appointments I got from it. And then by doing it repetitively, I just became a master at the scripts and then a master at the objection handlers, because I would get an objection handler that I wouldn't know, I'd get stuck on and I'd be like, shit, the phone. And then I'd go back and I'd research, like, how can I give an answer to this that'll still get me where I'm trying to go? And that really helped me in sales. So I think as a new agent, no matter what your experience is in sales, I think that you just have to go out there and do it. Sort of like what you said about posting on social media, just do it, right? Because sitting there and thinking about it is never going to get you anywhere.
I think for me, like the biggest takeaway in all of our career so far, and for anybody that's new to the business, is just be yourself. I mean, you can maybe not have all the tools in your tool belt right off rip, right? When he got in the business, he was never in sales. So the language of sales, the art of negotiation, maybe wasn't something that he was well versed in. But I think we've always put passion and our love for people and connections at the root of everything that we do. And whenever somebody says, like, why do you guys, what do you attribute your success to? I think it's because we love people. We love our people. Our clients become like family to us. And so that genuine, authentic passion for helping people and becoming part of their lives in such an intimate, cool way has always been at the root of everything that we do in our lives, and I think whether you're, a salesperson or the scripts or not, if you lead with your heart and the reasons why you're doing this, and it's never about the money and it's never about you, if you really lead with it with the right intention, you'll be successful no matter what you do.
We talked about that earlier today, actually, on the room I was telling you guys about. We had two people on, one that represents some AAA tenants, and we were talking about what it's like to work with those types of brands, very big names. And the other has a massive YouTube following, but the thread that carried through both of them was they didn't focus on the money. They didn't focus on the algorithm and the gaming the system. They just focused on doing good quality work over time. And I think, I think of Charlie and Jess, and Charlie, you're clearly born and bred as a protector, and talk about an industry where people need to be protected with the biggest investment that they're making in their life. And Jessica, you're kind of a born curator of communities and mentorship and helping other people along, because I think that's almost where you're now transitioning to. Just as a friend telling you that, I think you're going to level up in your business because of the fact that you guys do that for your clients and for the community of people around you, which can be a little scary for people sometimes when they're transitioning, right? Change isn't always easy, but I think you guys are growing into a new phase in your life where it's going to be undeniable that you are the people in Birmingham, in that area, whatever areas you want to target. So ambition wise, where are you headed, and how are you planning to manage that transition?
I think that for me at least, again, like one of my biggest goals is to be able to give back. I believe in Jim, who we've aligned with, who like is just all about pouring into everybody else and just sharing with abundance and gratitude and just giving, and that life will reward you when you do that and you live that way. And I think for me, I've seen that we've had $1 in the bank and we didn't know how we were going to pay our bills. Like we weren't people that had a wealthy sphere of influence or parents that could give us money and help us out. So when we started in this business, we were very successful in the beginning, but we didn't always save our money. We weren't always diligent and responsible. We kind of fell into like, whoa, this is cool to make money. This is a real job. And then dialed it back and said, whoa, but in our first year, we got engaged. We bought our first house. I mean, real estate has given us so much in our lives, even from beautiful vacations that we've taken. Like every time we do anything, I always say it's because of this business. It's because of real estate and the connections and the people that pour into us and support us and vice versa. So I think my vision for the future is obviously to grow and build a team of people that I can change their lives the same way that real estate has changed ours. And I love and I thrive on those kinds of conversations where somebody maybe lacks, the belief in themselves that they can do it. And I want to be that person that they come to. And I prove to them that they need to believe in themselves and they can achieve whatever they want. So I think building a team is definitely our next big plan.
Yeah, Jess definitely hit the nail on the head with that one for sure.
Yeah, I see that too. I mean, there's a couple of people that I've talked to off the record in your area that you don't even know I've talked to, that I'm like, hey, watch Jess and Charlie, because where you guys are headed, that's definitely part of what I think is going to help you level up to a high degree, right? You're obviously all about the business, and I don't think you're going to stop selling anytime soon. So I'm glad that you've partnered up and you're working with a team that's going to pour into you and help you with that structure. Because I think everybody watching this, it doesn't matter if they own a coffee shop, a shoe store, or they're in real estate. A lot of entrepreneurs just get in this business, and any business for that matter, without a true understanding of how to build a proper foundation, a P&L, not feel like they're falling forward and wondering where their next paycheck is coming from. So we'll dig into a couple more topics, and I want to be respectful of your time as well. So, one topic I would be curious to know, just from my purposes, is, how are things in your area? Maybe give us a high level of your markets, where you see things going amidst, all the uncertainty in the world today.
So right now in the Woodward corridor area where we do majority of our business, the inventory is just so low. And with interest rates being so low, we don't really see there being a shift in our market that's gonna affect the real estate market, I guess.
Or a crash,
right?
As people always ask.
Especially because in these areas, there's a lot of first-time home buyers. And I think that those price points are going to stay relatively around the same, or maybe they'll creep up a little bit more. And I don't think that the first-time home buyer market per se is going to be taking a hit anytime soon, at least in our experience and what we see in the market right now. Because the homes that we're selling are, 3-bed, 1.5 to 2-bathroom bungalows, ranch style homes that are 1,200 square feet. They're everyone's starter home, and everyone wants to be in the centralized location. I shouldn't say everyone.
They want the downtowns, right? The Birmingham downtown, Royal Oak, Ferndale. We have a lot of clients. I would say our average price point is probably between $250 and $350. We've got a lot of clients that buy up to Birmingham to the 800 to $1 million range. We've got some stuff in luxury, and then we've got a lot of investors that are around 150. So we always say no matter what your price point is, we give and we're committed to the same level of service, whether you're spending $100,000 or $2 million, right? That's something in our core values of who we are as agents and as a team. But yeah, like Charlie said, the inventory is so low. A lot of people say is this going to be 2008 all over again? Is there going to be a big crash? And I think as long as rates continue to stay stable and low and inventory for us is so low, I just don't see how it can be that way because there's nothing for sale. And right now buyers are willing to do whatever it takes to secure a property. So that bidding war situation is just what we're dealing with on everything. And honestly, it's really about pricing it correctly. And if it's turnkey and updated with all the bells and whistles, it's gone in an hour. I mean, we list a property, it hits the MLS, and within an hour and a half, there's 25 showings on it and there's already offers coming in. So it's just, it's crazy right now. It's really, really hot.
So this is great. It's very contextual because it's nationally happening almost everywhere. We're in the exact same thing here, depending on, you know, what little submarket you happen to be in. So understanding how to navigate those waters is a big thing. I think, you know, sellers and anybody that's watching this that has an interest in the real estate market, maybe you're not an agent. I do think having an understanding of using a team like Jess and Charlie that operates in a couple different price points is phenomenal because the people that were in the 2s or the 3s that purchased, they're the ones buying the 5s, the 6s, the 7s, the 8s. Yep. They've paid down the equity in their homes. Their mortgage isn't changing. They're making a lateral move. Those $800,000 houses to somebody from here could turn around and be worth 1.5. And then the house that I have here for 1.5 could be worth 100 million to somebody in LA, right? It's
right.
That is a very, very funny thing when it comes to the market. But because we do have so many agents that watch these videos, you know, how do you operate when it's so hard with buyers and you know, inventory is hard to come by? How are you guys finding success when a lot of other agents are really hitting their head against the wall?
So I think for us, like, and I was speaking on this earlier in a Zoom meeting, rapport with other agents in the industry, in our market. We have great relationships with a lot of the local agents who are also like the top producing agents around us. That helps us tremendously when it comes to us putting our offers in on a place or finding out if there's anything that's not on the market for our buyers, you know, that is like a pocket listing. That to me is one of the biggest advantages that we have working in sort of a tight market like the Woodward corridor, because if we had an agent, you know, that was from the other side of town put an offer in or have a buyer put an offer in, and you had an agent that you've done deals with in the past, that rapport with the previous agent that you've worked with gets that deal to the closing table, you know, and you know that agent's reputation and you know their work ethic, and that helps a lot.
I think for me too, it's honestly, it's really managing expectations. So I'm like I hit really hard on just the client relationship and reminding, you know, ourselves every single day that our clients don't do this every day, but we do, and they don't understand the process like we do. And so many agents will just tell their client, like, I've got it, I'm going to handle it. But it's like, let your client know exactly what that process looks like. We're like over educators. We want our clients to know exactly what's coming next so that they never have to ask. And if somebody says to me, this is my budget and I'm a 5% down buyer, and it's a house that I know is going to have cash offers with 50 offers on it and it's going to go crazy, I'm managing that expectation up front, because I'm not going to like fluff it up and put a bow on it and say, guys, you're for sure going to have a great chance at winning this. We're always going to fight for them to try, but we don't want to break hearts. Right. And there's so many agents that will show the properties and get somebody excited and write an offer. We're calling on these properties before we show it. If we know it's hot, we're calling and saying, do you have any offers? What's the traffic been like? If you have offers, can you share with us? Are they cash? Is it 20% conventional? Like, we're trying to get that backstory to tell our clients so that they can make decisions and that their emotions are not dragged, you know, through the ringer through the process. So I think education is key as well.
You guys make me want to work with you if I'm going to buy something in Michigan. I think the value props that you just kicked out are, I mean, go ahead and rewind.
Yeah, you're back.
Replay on YouTube. It's legit though. People have no idea the disparity of expertise in the industry, right? I was reading in a private real estate group this morning about an agent who said that she's written 5 offers for her client. She's in a crazy market in Ontario. She keeps losing every single offer. And it was a $700,000 house, or sorry, $800,000 house. And her client wanted to go in for $750,000 with a financing condition. And I can tell you, out of the 18,000 agents in that group, 18,000 of them were like, that's a gigantic waste of all of your time.
Right.
The problem is she doesn't have the confidence or the expertise to translate that to the buyer to say, hey, listen, this is the right strategy, not because I need a paycheck, because you want a house, right? So if this is the market that we're playing in, either rent for a year and let's back off and let's wait until there's maybe a cycle or catch a pocket or something off market, or let's switch it up a little bit, right? So, you know, I think it's so important to be able to understand the relationship that you have with the people you work with ahead of time. Not be afraid to translate your expertise to those people and build those relationships. Let's touch on that. How do you build your relationship with your clients so you can tell them exactly what you're thinking?
I mean, we always live by, I think, the rule of thumb that I'd rather be your friend and not get your business than get your business and not be your friend. And that's that authenticity and that honesty. So whether if it's a seller and I know that they want like a crazy number for their property, I'm not going to be the agent to tell them what they want to hear. We are very real and raw. So like, we don't hold back. We lead with data. So if I go on a listing appointment, I'm not bringing you a printout of things from the MLS. I'm bringing my laptop. We're logging in together and we're looking at the houses together and we're going to arrive at that number together. And it's the same thing with buyers. So I think for us, it's really important to have the client be hands-on so that they know and understand the process. Like I said, we do it every day, but they don't. So again, I think just that over-informative approach so that they feel really confident in the process. It builds trust. And I think it's also important to let your client know whatever your time frame is, I've got double, right? Like we're never in a rush. We've got money in the bank. We're good. We've got food on the table. I'm not pushing anybody. And we're also really authentic when it comes to going to showings. Like if I walk in a house, I'm not saying, look at the kitchen. It's so great. Or look at these nice floors. Like,
yeah, don't look at that crack in the foundation, but check out the kitchen upstairs, isn't that great?
We're looking at the mechanicals, we're looking at the roof, we're looking at the foundation, we're looking for what's wrong with that property from the buyer standpoint, because the buyer is looking at, do I like the layout? Does it have the appliances that I want? Is the bathroom updated? So we really try to look at that and build that up front. I will always say, I'll tell you no probably 20 times before I tell you yes. So again, I just think that genuine, raw honesty is the way we build the relationships that we have.
Common thread amongst top producers is that, right? Where Ciano said it this morning about working with Starbucks and Orange Theory and all those brands. He's like, he kills more deals than he probably actually writes. But then long tail, it builds a great rapport in the business. And I think the agents you work with appreciate it too. I don't think a lot of people in the community or the, non-real estate community understand the difference of, having 3 offers in front of you and saying, yeah, you know what, Jess and Charlie, they're solid. They'll get it done. They've pre-qualified their client. I'm confident in you accepting this offer versus an offer that comes from an out-of-town agent that may be a lot riskier. Case in point, I had an offer on a property right over there. I feel like I can see it if I peek out. And that I had 2 offers on the property, and the one guy, he made an astronomical offer. And he left one thing out of the detail, right? And he said, oh yeah, just sign it back, send it back to us, and we'll get a deal done. I'm like, no, you send me the offer signed by your client, and then I'll present it to my people. Never showed up. But it's notorious in our market that you'll get agents that come from down the highway and they'll do things like that. And then you're in multiple offers. You try to accept their offer, you send it back to them, they decline it. Well, now all your other people have ghosted you. You're not
and we make it a point to tell our buyers, like, make sure that you want to write on this before we call the listing agent, tell them we're submitting an offer, because that hurts their chances of us getting an offer accepted in the future. Right. So, and we're very upfront and honest with them about it. Like, oh, I love everything about this house. Let's write an offer. I'm not calling that listing agent until we have an offer signed and we're, getting ready to send it over. I'll call and ask if there are offers on the table and tell them my clients are interested, but I'm not saying I'm sending it over, because I can't tell you how many times I've gotten that phone call where I'm like, hey, we're getting an offer, great, and then it never comes, right? And then everyone's disappointed. So I don't want to be that agent either. And I think it's important to share that with the buyer, to let them know, like, your relationship with other agents in the business means a lot to you as well.
I think
go ahead, Jess.
We protect the other agents as well. Like we're saying, like with just their time, right? In this business, time is our most valuable asset, and there's never enough of it. So I feel like we really go out of our way to try to protect the other agents as well and not waste their time, not show stuff that we don't think it's going to sell. I mean, there's just so many different ways that you can just play nice in the sandbox. And I always preach the importance of doing that, and I think, like Charlie said, it goes back to that when you have that multiple offer situation, those agents know that you're going to be a fair, honest negotiator, that you don't do bad business, and that you're really there and you mean business. And so I think that's
while still protecting your client and making sure they're getting the best price possible and all of the other good things that come along with that. But being fair and playing nice in the sandbox, so to speak. Like, people watch $1 Million Listing, for example, and someone will be in an argument. Like, it's literally happened to me, and then they've called me and given me the same script that I just watched on $1 Million Listing 15 minutes earlier. And I'm like, hey, I saw it too,
They're like, there's no cameras rolling.
Yeah.
But I mean, even like, there's some agents that are super cutthroat, right? And they don't really have that respect or that boundary with other agents in the industry. And like, we just had a client that got referred to us last week. They were under contract with a different agent for their buyer agency agreement. They had put an offer in. They lost several houses with this particular agent, and they really didn't want to work with him, and they wanted to hire us. And we honestly, as much as we would have loved to help them, they were under contract with him. I don't think he was willing to break it at the time, but either way, I mean, we told him, give your agent a shot. You know, he's done 4 months of work for you. And we literally sat on the phone for an hour, giving them, you know, pointers and advice on how to better navigate and communicate to their agent, full well knowing that we probably were never going to work for them, but that we wanted them to have a better experience. And they called us and they're like, we finally got a house with him. Thank you guys so much. And if we ever have a referral, it's coming your way. So I think it's important to protect the people in our industry, you know, from that aspect as well.
100%. I mean, that story I could tell you multiple times in my market where I've gotten calls from sellers and buyers under contract initially that they were calling me just to list their places. And then I heard who the agent was or whatever, and that relationship mattered. Right. And I told them that they were working with somebody that was great. And, you know, maybe it was just this, and this, maybe they were unrealistic about their price. I probably said everything that agent wanted to say to them, but maybe have the courage to say, but it all comes full circle. Right. And down the road, you know, it doesn't always mean that they'll reciprocate because not everybody's going to have the same mindset about the business. But this episode was titled The Future of Real Estate. And I love that you're saying what you're saying, because this is the future of real estate. I think long gone are the days where information is the value of a real estate agent. Truthfully, sold data in your market's public. It's going to be public here one day soon. You know, just having a listing online isn't really what a real estate agent's job is anymore. Or quite often, I read actually our buddy Joe Turco wrote a whole post about it, about how back in the day, the real estate agent was the one that found the house for you.
Sure.
This day and age, we're all looking at the same data. Quite possibly, you're going to find the house that I'm going to end up selling you. My role is as a professional consultant to watch out for the red flags, negotiate the very best price, leverage the relationships that I had to find success for you, and just look out for your best interests above my own. And I think that's where the entire industry is getting shifted upside its head. And the cutthroat agents and the one that don't have that long-term game or, you know, people in mind, they're going to lose mandates over and over and over to people that really don't necessarily care about the commission. They take care of people and they build a community, which is a beautiful segue into the last portion of our conversation around the community you've built online through your social media. I encourage everybody watching this to go and check them out on Instagram. All the handles will be in the notes on our YouTube channel. You know, what is social media to you guys? How have you executed and what are you working towards executing?
I'm going to let Jess handle this one.
This is my baby. So I'll be honest, like when about a year and a half ago, somebody asked us like, what does your brand mean to you? And I didn't know what that was. I didn't even know that we were a brand, right? Because you think brand, you think Nike or Adidas or something tangible or a place or a thing. And I'm like, we're just agents. What do you mean? What's our brand? And then through exploring that with clients, and I turned it around. I'm like, let me ask my clients what our brand is, right? And they all kind of said the same things. Like, they're like, you guys, you're the face of your brand. It's power couple, or it's your love and your passion for each other. It's your love and your passion for the business, for taking care of people. It's our love for fitness and health and just living a better life. I mean, our dogs, our family, like all of that, all encompassing in our energy and our excitement for others and just to grow and to inspire people to be their best selves. That is our brand. And so now, if you ask me what our social media is, it's showcasing that, right? And it's finding those authentic connections. It's, I think, you know, somebody said the other day, like Instagram, for example, it's really an interruption in your day. If you consider Instagram as popping up into your feed, whatever somebody's sharing, you're interrupting them, right? Same thing with Facebook. It's an interruption of information to give to somebody. And I think it's always a value to us to figure out, how do we entertain people? How do we lift them up? How do we motivate them? And how do we educate them about real estate and do all of that in a way that's authentically us? So to me, socials is about showing what we love to do, showing our love for one another, and connecting people, places, and things in our industry. So,
and I think you're scratching your own itch through your content. I don't think people understand the value of it, doing stuff like this. We're learning from each other. I'm importing concepts into my business, maybe getting reflective about how we're structured, the things that matter, and getting fired up to provide that same service for my clients. But you're also going out, you're exploring the communities that you're living in for your client base, right? You're talking about the coffee shops, your walk through Wednesday. I just watched it, and it is that exact same thing where you're showcasing and helping the local businesses that are maybe struggling in a time like this too. And, you know, I think there's a much higher level game than just a follower account or just trying to get, you know, likes and comments. You guys are translating this into actual business. So have you translated that online community to actual business?
Absolutely. I would say Instagram and Facebook, we probably close about 5 deals a month right now from. just from online. And it's honestly people in the community. It's not really by accident. It's people that, you know, that we know or that we support and they support us. And then at some point they reach out, and it's definitely, again, it's not about the money, but we get a lot of people that will ask for advice. We're not pushy. I've had people reach out 6 months ago, just picking our brains, and I don't hound them. I don't throw them in a database and pester them about what we talked about. They know that we're there. We continue to educate and provide value. And then when they're ready, they reach out and they want to work with us. And again, it is showing the community and showing the support for the local businesses and just building people up. I think that's our common theme, is just how can we elevate others? And they see that and they connect to that, right? And we also share real raw stuff sometimes on there that's just everyday life, like dealing with anxiety, dealing with family illness, whatever it may be, because we're all just humans, right? And so even though it's a business page, I've had a lot of other agents ask, should I be personal on there? Heck yeah, because that's who you are, right? And the people watching you may not always want to buy or sell today, but they can relate to you by being human. So whether that's enjoying the same steakhouse or coffee shop or having a similar struggle with a sick parent or something that you're going through, I think it's so important to just always bring that authenticity to the table with social media.
I will say this too, just to add to that, because we go on different appointments, right? We do different things. Every time that I go on a listing appointment, that person either follows us on Facebook or follows us on Instagram. I don't sell myself. I don't have to bring anything with me. They're pretty much
There's
like,
no interview
I'm
process.
like, I'll start to talk about like what we do for marketing. They're like, no. They're like, don't worry about it. I watch what you guys do. You guys are awesome. I know you'll get the job done, right? And that between that and the buyers that come from Instagram, I don't know what it is about Instagram, but like, you know, you get like online Zillow leads or Facebook inquiries all the time, and those people a lot of times aren't qualified or don't have any means to buy. I feel like every Instagram lead that we've gotten, they're like, beautiful 20% conventional down buyers with perfect credit. I don't know what it is. And they're
not list my house for 1%. What's your rate? How cheap is your commission? I think that's most Facebook and online leads, right?
You don't get any of that. And I think what's really cool is that each lead that we've gotten from Instagram, the second that we meet with them, they're like, I feel like I've known you for like a year or however long they've been following us, because we're active on there every day, because we're just sharing our day. Like, I mean, people will say like, do you plan your content? And the honest answer is, maybe sometimes to a degree, like what do I want to post what day? But for the most part, whatever we share that day is part of what we did that day. So like we take people along for the ride, right? And so they watch that for enough time and they're like, I already know you guys. And it's really funny because every person that's come from an online social media lead, the minute they meet us, they're like, you guys are exactly in person like you were online. And I think that's so important because you have to be yourself and you have to show up the same way everywhere. And I think, you know, we do that and we're committed to that. So there is no interview process because they already know us, you know, and we know them because we're interacting with them and we care about their life and we're sending them messages when we see them struggling or if they have a celebration of something. So we stay in touch and it already builds the relationship, you know.
It's incredible. And you can scroll their feed and see if they're a crazy person pretty quick if you needed to.
Yeah, if you're like, I don't know about this person, you can find that out.
Yeah. Well, Charlie took the words out of my mouth. I was going to say it's a different type of relationship because they know who you are. They know how you operate and they understand the value. It's completely different. You know, I love what you guys are doing in the community. I'm excited to see the future. And I can see already in such a short period of time that I've known you, the growth. I can only imagine what you're going to do from a community and just a national perspective. I would encourage every single person watching this to go follow you on both Instagram and Clubhouse. A lot of people may not know what Clubhouse is, but I promise you that they are thought leaders. They are pouring into so many other people. They've built some amazing rooms and communities. So, you know, I appreciate your friendship. And when the world opens up, we will get my family down there and we'll definitely be doing some collaboration in the future.
Yes, would love to.
Can't wait.
Okay. Awesome, guys. Go kill it and enjoy the weather, whatever it is down there.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
It's real cold today, so we're going to enjoy it from inside our office.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay.
We'll talk to you soon.
See ya.
Bye.